I so promise, like to anyone, if you really get conscious about that, and you really consciously always choose to look on the what is good about this, it changes. Like it gets better because you focus on that.
Welcome, Katrin Bader, right? From where are you living now?
I'm living in Spain, but I'm Austrian.
Austrian, yeah. So quite the traveler. And, you know, ironically, I met you through the power of social media. I don't know if we met before we joined the art tribe or after, but I remember I recalled seeing a video that you did a long time ago, and I paired it or something like that
Yeah.
on Instagram. I don't know if that was before the tribe or after.
I'm
And
not sure either. I think it was before the tribe,
yeah,
but I was thinking about that. Did you do Jody King?
no,
No, I thought it
no.
was from there, but because just after that, I connected with Jess, and that's when we came
Yeah,
together. I guess. Yeah.
I think it was a minion reel that you did on Instagram. And I thought it was so funny. And I'm like, I want to do that with her. And I tried to do it side by side, but I couldn't get it to go. But I have followed you ever since because your art is just so uplifting, bright, joyful, happy, elevating. That's what I think of when I think of your art. So, without further ado, I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, obviously, you've moved quite a bit, and
Yeah.
so take it
Yeah, it's
away.
nice that you say that because that's basically what it is, like the vibrance and the joy in my art. Like that's what comes through because it's just what I feel when I do it. And well, as I said, I'm Austrian and born and raised, and my husband is from Spain. That's why we live here now, actually in Mallorca, which is an island in the Mediterranean. So my art is abstract, and and also intuitive, and I'm totally self-taught. I didn't do any art training or anything. It just comes through me. Yeah, that's a bit the story.
I feel that vibe from just watching you on social media. You know, you're playful and fun, and you don't take yourself too seriously, which is something that I try to live by.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I
that's good.
fail.
That's also something that I like now that you say it. Like, you know, I sometimes feel I lived like 7 lives or something because I'm a teacher. I trained as an English and a PE teacher actually, and to teach English as a foreign language in Austria. And now here I teach German, which is like my native language. It's the language we speak in Austria. We speak German, and like while was doing that teacher training, I fell in love with drama actually because we did a drama training, how to use drama in education, especially in English class, and I wanted to do more of that, and I did a clown training. So I actually worked as a hospital clown for almost 5 years. So that's this.
Ah,
I don't take myself too serious kind of thing that comes in there. And I really enjoy
yeah.
now doing these reels as well that are a bit funny and stupid and
Yeah, I can tell that you really enjoy it. And I was just going through your feed again today, and I saw again the Muppets one with the na 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 song, and I was just like,
Yeah.
that's so brave. I haven't thought about doing something like that. And I'm curious about the glasses. You have these cool, like,
Yeah.
black glasses that are very round. Are those prescription glasses, or are those kind of like your
No,
fun time
these are
glasses?
like, this is carnival glasses, and I don't know actually why I started to do that. Like, actually, my daughter dressed up as a painter once, and she had this beret, this black, typical painter's hat. And to make it a bit more funny for carnival, we had these glasses and stuff, and I thought it looked so funny, and also is a bit of it's like a mask, so you can hide a bit behind it. It's not totally you, so it's a character, and you can be brave for doing it like that. That's also when we, like in clown training, that's what you learn. Like the red nose is the smallest mask in the world, they say, like because it's a mask in the end, and still it is. It lets you, or it allows you to be very, very real, realer than you would dare to be. you know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never heard this philosophy before. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that, can be really a good strategy in terms of entertaining people because what are people looking for when they're scrolling through social media? They're looking for like a little relief from whatever stress they might be feeling for the day, or they're looking for inspiration. And that whole vibe just fits really well with your artwork. It's very consistent,
Thank
on
you, thank
brand
you.
for sure.
Okay, I like to hear that. No, and it's true because it also separates a bit. Like, hey, I'm a serious artist here. Okay, like, but I can do fun as well. So it separates the two personalities a bit, which because it's not a joke that I do art. It's something that really matters to me. But to take it a bit easy and fun is just the way I want it to be. Yeah.
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 I read something about clowns once. I
Uh-huh.
don't know when it was or where, but I did read that sometimes clowns experience a high amount of depression. And I don't know if you learned that in your training. I don't know if it's the nature of the beast, like clowns are there to elevate sick children or, you know, people that need some happiness in their lives or something like that. But I don't know if that spurred your art interest just to kind of get some relief. I'd like to hear more about that from you.
Yeah, it's very true what you say. And if you look at the most famous clowns in the world, they all, like, many of them have a tragic story, or also a story where, like, of sadness, of something traumatic that happened in their lives. And actually, I don't know if you know Peter Sharp. I don't know if you heard of him. He's like he works alone, and he had a tragic event in his life as well, and like one of his kids died, and he wants, like, I know him personally because we brought him here and he did a workshop with us, and I got to know him a bit, and he explained it as well. And he gives an interview, and there he says, I can be the saddest person in the world, but I can still make you happy on stage. So it's
Mm.
this beauty as well of, okay, I've had experiences that are very tragic and traumatic, but I still have this light in me that makes you laugh about me or about the world or about whatever I stumble across on stage. And that's the beauty of the clown. Like, I really love that time as well because of that, because it lets you turn out the tragic side, but make it fun.
Right.
And yeah, that's very
I
powerful.
think of, the famous clown or comedian that I think of is Robin Williams. And he
Yeah,
even played a clown.
exactly. Robin Williams
Um,
is one of the examples. Such a funny
yes.
character, such a funny actor, and
Yeah,
super depressive and yeah.
right, right.
Good that you said that. I would have, yeah, I would have forgotten. And that's also like he acted Patch Adams.
Yes, I
So
saw that movie.
he did actually that, but because Patch Adams is like the creator of the hospital clowns, no?
Yeah.
And yeah. Mhm.
Hmm. So how does art come into this story? When did you start it?
Um, like all my life, I love to paint when I was little and to draw. And at school, I was always like the kid where everybody would say, "Ah, you do that well," and and my teachers would keep books that I made and to show them to others. But it came and went always. Like I never did it consistently, and I also didn't choose it as a career. I remember that when it was time to go to, like, I finished my school and high school, and it was like, oh, what do you want to study? I looked at many artistic professions like stage designer or all kinds of things, but in the end, I didn't choose it. I don't know why. Like it was not that like that much this, oh, you won't get money with this. We have this story. Our parents maybe tell you can't study art. It was not like that. My parents maybe would have let me study art. I think that would have been fine. But I didn't dare to somehow. I don't know. And now I'm actually glad somehow I didn't. Because it allows me, like I feel completely free when I create, and I've met people who had art training, and like of course there are amazing painters who have had a real training, but sometimes I think knowing too much can restrict you because you can't mix these colors or you can't do this or that because it's not the thing you do. I don't know. Like I do what I want, and that's the thing that makes me feel super free while I paint. And how it came back into my life is basically like the last time, because I said it came and it went. And looking back, I always brought it back into my life when there was something like I was struggling with, when either I was lonely or after a breakup, or where things happened that got me somehow. And then I painted again for a couple of months or maybe a year, and then it disappeared again. And last time I started was when my kids were little. They were like maybe 2 and 5, and I hadn't been painting for like 5 years at least, with them being little. And I started again with them. Like they painted in coloring books, and I just sat with them and did that as well. And I was like, oh, I actually really like that. Oh, that's so fun. And I bought these adult coloring books, these Zentangle things and stuff. And I just realized how much I enjoy it, and that's when I started painting myself again and doing my own things, and yeah. And it was because I needed some time for me, basically. That was the trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. So I was curious, what did you train as instead of an artist? Did you say?
As a teacher,
As a teacher of
yeah, I became an English and sports teacher. So in Austria, we always
right.
studied 2 subjects. And I also trained then teaching German as a foreign language. So now I teach German, and it's also something I really love. Like I became a teacher because I really like to be with young people, and I used to work at like summer camps, and that's when I found out, like this is fun. I get to play and get paid for it, and that's why I trained to be a teacher. When I then was a teacher, it didn't feel that much like play anymore.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uh, but still, yeah, I like to be with young people, and I think it was a good choice after all. Yeah.
Yeah. I for some reason I missed that, and I thought that maybe because a lot of people like teach privately when they have a skill. So I didn't connect that as that was what your formal training was.
Yeah,
So,
no, that was my career choice, so to say. Yeah.
yeah.
What kind of things are you doing with your art now? I mean, I've seen you evolve over the past couple of years. I mean, it
Yeah.
started doing a lot of sketchbook things,
Mm-hmm.
smaller works, and just recently, well, not super recently, but I've watched you evolve into these great big large scale paintings. So
Yeah.
tell us about that because that's
Yeah.
something I can relate to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it started in a sketchbook because uh, as a mom of young children, like you have only that much time and they interrupt you and they need you and that's fine, but you like it was frustrating to start a big painting and like after 3 brush strokes you would leave. So the tiny paintings in the sketchbooks made it possible to do it first anywhere and also at any time, like maybe 5 minutes before going to sleep or in the morning or in between when they take a nap or something. So that was the start of it. And the funny thing is, like, I still I do these postcards which I call flow cards, and I really I like this is a part of my day because it's kind of it's a little art piece, but it's possible to do it like sometimes even in 15 minutes. Sometimes I let them dry and put another layer on and stuff. Sometimes they might take an hour, but it's this little piece of art and it still feels like, oh, I'm painting. Yeah,
Because you
but it's
are.
true. Yes, 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 of course. Yeah. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I love to paint big, like uh, um, yeah, and it's just like I make all sizes. Lately, I have had a couple of commissions, so in between sizes, like smaller ones, 20 by 20 centimeters ones, but maybe three that go together, and I really like that as well because it's easier to ship basically as well. Like smaller paintings are easier to ship, and the big ones, the only like downside of this is that it's complicated sometimes to get them from one country to another or yeah, that's the only thing. But I love to paint big. Like, I'm dreaming of painting the really large ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some of your paintings that I was really surprised that they were big because they look to me like, you know, smaller paintings, but really you've done a great
Okay.
job of like really enlarging all the things instead of keeping everything small because, yeah, that really is great for the composition. I wanted to ask something, but I forgot it.
I have a
Anyway.
question.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So I know you were an author in the Creative Life book, and
Yes.
Yes.
you had a hack in the book.
Yes.
Would you want to share a little bit about that with our listeners about your
Yes.
contribution
Yes.
to that
Of
book?
course. Well, my hack is called Hugo Goes on Holiday. And it's basically kind of a hack that I've heard from many different people over the last 2 years, um, and always in a bit of a different form. And I just made it a bit mine because I realized I do this. Like I've done this before I met those people. Like it's Jess said something similar, but another art teacher, and also I do conscious reading. I'll speak about this a bit later. And the idea is that like we have this inner critic, and this voice that tells us, yeah, but that's not good, and nah, don't show that to anyone, or don't do that. But actually, like your heart wants to, you want to do something, or you love to do something, and but you don't dare because society and this voice is so loud. And the hack is to send that voice away, like to identify, to say, okay, this voice, I give it a name. I call it in the book, I call it Hugo because it's sort of you go. Okay, you go. Yeah.
I
So you
love
send
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
it.
So you send that voice away, and not like to hell or whatever. You can send it to a nice place. Well, go and have some fun on the beach, or go on holiday. Take a boat out in the Mediterranean Sea and don't come back for 5 days. You send them out, and you can dream about. You can send them to space and to count the stars, and it's what you want to do. And the thing is, I love it because the funny thing is I had really for because of that I had quite some feedback on that hack, even like from my brother who is a man who is not like so outspoken. It doesn't, quiet guy and doesn't say much, and he invented this funny character. Now I write this to you because I sent the troll to the cave, like this kind of thing. So he really got it, and I was really happy about this because that's it. Like, send that voice away, and then you can do what you really want to do. So the critic is gone for a
That's so,
while.
that is just so brilliant. I really appreciate that. Although that name Hugo does bring to mind a specific person because,
Yeah,
yeah, that
that's
is
what
a
I
real
was.
name.
Yeah, that was what I was fearing. I thought like, yeah, it's an example. Everybody can call them as they want. I just connected with Hugo because in English say Hugo, you go, and yeah, and I said like, I have a student who's called Hugo, and I was like, I don't mean you. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
I When my kids were little, we had an imaginary person, Fred, that lived in my house. And Fred was responsible for not turning off the lights, throwing dirty clothes around on the floor, leaving the back door open,
I love that.
not making the bed. Like, instead of going in and saying, "You didn't make your bed today," I would go in
Mhm.
and I'd say,
What
"Oh,
has
looks like Fred's been in here." And they would laugh about it, but they knew.
I love that. I'll tell that to mine as well. Ah, that's great. Yes,
Yeah. I
exactly.
love your
And I
tip.
heard I heard a similar thing. Like others call it like fear. You can call it fear. It's the fear of showing yourself, and like fear is at the back seat, or strap fear into a chair. I don't know, like whatever. It's the same. It's the same concept, and I've heard it from many people. And when I was asked about this, it was like this was the thing that came to me. Like I have to share this.
Yeah, that's really smart. I'm curious, when does this voice haunt you the most? Is it like in your painting practice, or is it before you get to the studio, or is it when you're going to share on social media, or something else?
Yeah, good question. And actually, and I said it in the book as well, it doesn't haunt me. Like when I paint, it doesn't haunt me. I'm totally like I'm so in peace when I paint, and especially I'm lying now if it's never there. But when I do the postcards, which I call flow cards, it's like I really don't have a critic. I sit down, I grab whatever, like I don't even choose the paintings, they choose me. Like I just start, I just do, and then it's done. And there is no time even for that voice to start saying, hey, what are you doing there? It's not there. And that's what I love so about painting as well, because I feel this is my place where I feel so safe, and I don't care if people don't like it, they don't have to. I love to do it, and I know some people love it, and some people connect on an energetic level on it with it as well, and that's fine. And those who don't will find somebody else, And it's so I don't have it there. I have it more in situations like real life, kind of in work, at school, I don't know where you have to behave and you have to do this, and oh my god, um, yeah, I don't know, the way you
Yeah, that
teach or
made me
anything that
laugh when
you.
that
Hmm?
made me laugh when you said we have to behave. That's how I
Yeah,
feel also at my day job. It's like I have to behave and I don't want to, and then I have all these doubts. And what's interesting is that I've started to be more open about my art side, and like not like a little bit, I feel like I'm a little bit more sensitive also because artists are such great, like, welcome, well, not all, but my experiences with artists have been so wonderful. Like, everybody is just so supportive of one another. You know,
Yeah.
there's definitely not so much scarcity, there's not so much competition, there is not too much ego
Hmm.
getting in the way of interactions. It's definitely some of my more like healthy female relationships,
Yeah.
because during the day I work, you know, in a STEM field as a chemistry
Hmm.
professor and researcher, and although there's lots of women in my career and my, you know, day-to-day interactions, they tend to behave more like men. And
Yeah.
I did the same for a long time. I was definitely embodying this, like, I'm serious and don't, you know, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
And it just wore me down carrying all that energy. And it was really
Yeah.
just fear. You know, I was afraid that somehow they were going to see me as being weak or something.
Yeah.
But art is very freeing, and art has brought me back to a sense of balance, you know, that I'm in touch with my emotions. You know, I still have my inner critic and everything, um,
Yeah.
but I'm just so much more well rounded. But I still get the fear when I'm gonna maybe put my stuff out there because, you know, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's just normal, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
No, I totally get what you say because it's true in real life. This happens like you. Yeah, it's also the atmosphere is not always so open, or it's not sometimes even you thinking that it sometimes really isn't, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's a pity. But I agree, like for me too, since I've like really embraced the artist inside of me and live this kind of parallel life. But I've become more open myself, and actually now with the book, it was the first time. Like I had my two or three colleagues at school that knew that I was painting, but I didn't share that very much. Like I didn't want to mix those worlds. I want to have the safe art space and the workspace, you know, to keep them separate. But now with the
Mm-hmm.
book, I told everybody. Everybody knows now. Like I just spilled it, you know. I just like it's not now. I don't care. I want to tell it to everyone.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good
I
for
think
you.
I think my people at work are sick of hearing about my art. If I talk about, but you know what? They did ask me if I would bring in some prints and art pieces and hang it around the office. But I really wanted to talk about your journal practice, and that's Lynn's tip in the book as well. And her and I had talked about that a little bit about how important journaling, art journaling is. And I've been reading a lot about it. And
Mhm.
I love learning about the brain chemistry and the neuro neuroplasticity and
Mhm.
creating new pathways. And you know what I find is really super interesting is even if you don't want to be a professional artist, you just want to, increase your job function. Let's say at whatever kind of profession you have. My husband's an attorney, judge. I mean, creativity is imperative for elevating your your capabilities in any walks of life.
Yeah.
And I'm trying really hard. After Lynn and I talked last week, or maybe it was the week before, about daily journal practice, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my journal 10 minutes every day. And I got up at 6:15 before work and did it one morning, and then the next morning I had A, B, and C to do before work, so I didn't get it done. And then I get home at 8 o'clock at night and I'm like, I'm too tired.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm striving for. I'll just put it
Yeah.
out there. I'm striving to do something every day. And so yesterday I was limiting myself. I'm like, well, I can't paint at work. So I took my journal and I took some just regular pencils and I did some sketch work during work yesterday. I mean, it is something that we can do. It's just changing that mindset, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it's true. Yeah, the art journals, like they always call my attention as well. And as you said, I started out with them, but I never like. I always love when people show their journals and they're like, "Oh my God, look at this," you know. And I never finished any. Like they're always three quarters or half, and then it stops. Um, but I've realized that my cards are my kind of journal because I feel like that's the moment I take. I love it, and I still have a piece that I even like could sell, but I sell them. And if somebody likes it, they can have it, you know. And it's this kind of I do it, and I did the same as you, Dawn. I really wanted to put it in my day, and said like, in the evening it's same. I'm too tired. The kids are home. I want to spend time with them as well. So when in the morning, I get up half an hour early and do it. And I don't do it every day because sometimes I just want to sleep. But yeah, there are like out of 6, maybe I do it 4 days, and that's great. Yeah. And the days I do it, they start off amazing. They're
Yes,
better.
Yeah.
that's what I experienced. And I'm like, why wouldn't I do this every day? But
Yeah,
it is forming a habit and, making it a priority and getting
exactly.
my butt out of bed when I'm really tired. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to confess I haven't done my art journal very much over the last couple of weeks, and the reason is that I've just been feeling really fatigued with the end of the
Yeah.
semester. And I've just decided like I'm just going to get through the end of the semester and then I'll form new habits. But
But that's okay too. Like I sometimes, I also say like in the holidays I do this, and then you have another energy as well. It doesn't make sense if you're like worn out and you feel like the pressure, I have to do this. Well, I relax. I need my body needs to recover. I needs the rest, and needs like not even painting maybe at that time, and you have to listen to it. So don't be hard on yourself.
yeah.
I listened to an artist yesterday, and she uses her art journal for her everything journal. Some days she does artwork, some days she does the conscious stream of writing, and then she was saying, and she's in the Creative Life book too. She was saying how she has indexed the pages, and then at the beginning she'll write little tabs. So this was my conscious stream of writing about this, and this was this, and I was fascinated by it. I like, okay, that's way too organized for me. I'm just going to put it out there. But
Yeah.
I was fascinated by it, and I love adding the conscious stream of writing into the art journal.
Yes. I did that as well. Like, I don't do it right now because the same. There was so much going on. I had just exam period as well. So it's if life is quick and fast and too much going on, it's hard to make space for this. But when Jess suggested when the writing, journaling and stuff, I did morning pages for. I think maybe I think I got to 2 months, but really almost every day, just before Christmas. And I really felt it was amazing what happened afterwards. Like I think I owe a lot to what happened after that, to that journaling, because it was a lot of, you know, dreaming and also letting go and also all kinds of things, manifesting like everything. And I stopped at a certain point because there was no time, and then things started to happen, and I have to go back to that because to keep the momentum going. But I'm a person, I go with in phases, and it's fine. Like maybe I journal every day for 3 weeks, and then I stop, and then I do something else for a while, and I make peace with that. Like I always have to say, yes, I do 14 days of yoga. Yes, I do them, but I do them in 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also the same. Like I feel like I'm trying to optimize myself all the time. So I'll get an idea from you today and then I'll implement it for a while and then I'll be talking to somebody else and then I'll think, "Oh yeah, I haven't been running, recently.
Mhm.
I need to start running." And then it's like I need to run, I need to do yoga, I need to meditate, I need to journal, I need to paint I need to paint on my journal, not just write in my journal. Then I need to do a portfolio, and then it's just like, wait a second, where am I supposed to like be
Yeah.
me?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge nugget that I've just taken away from today's podcast is the fact that you made peace with these phases of, things that you participate in, and then you participate in something else, and you don't beat yourself up over it because I think we can all tend to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I should be doing this. Oh, I don't have, and just making peace with it and saying, you know what? I'm doing this for right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to journal 3 days a week, maybe not every morning, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely the person who likes to do it all, like all. But I really know, like, yes, all, but not all at once. You know?
Right. Right. There's
Yeah.
this thing called burnout.
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
let's not talk about burnout.
No.
I was recently thinking about, I don't know if we want to talk about this, but I'm going to be in Europe soon, but I was recently thinking a lot about burnout and how like Europeans always criticize Americans, for this, like, we work to live and you Americans like to live to work or something. And I just want to hear Katrin's idea on this.
Is there such an opinion like that Europeans say that about Americans?
Probably not all Europeans, but some of the
Uh-huh.
Europeans who've come to the U.S. to pursue their careers, sometimes they kind of, I've heard, like especially in my field of science, I've heard some of them kind of complain a little bit about the American work ethic, which is not necessarily more productive. Actually, when I was on sabbatical in Italy, 2015-16, I noticed the work habit of my colleagues there, and they're very, very productive, but they're very scheduled. Like they show up to work at a certain time. They may take a coffee break. They definitely have a nice lunch break. They don't talk about work stuff at all during lunch. They just talk about
Okay.
food and vacations and all those things. And then they go back to work in the afternoon. Maybe they take a coffee break or something, and then people like leave. Whereas
Yeah.
my experience in the U.S. is different, where it's kind of more like, you show up and you're working, you're trying to get a bunch of things done. Maybe somebody stops by somebody's office, and then you're talking, and then there's all these meetings and meetings, and then you barely have time to eat, and then it's like, well, I should make a work meeting, at lunchtime because we can both sit down together. That's the only time we can meet, and I don't know. I mean, it's like a little bit exaggerated in my head because I'm also
Yeah.
like at the end of the spring semester right now and we're still
Yeah.
having winter again. So,
Yeah. 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 I can't really compare like the American way with the European because I don't know it. I just know it now from what you say. I haven't experienced it. I just know also in like Europe is there are lots of countries, and I can compare it with Austria and with Spain because Austrians think that Spain is like Spanish are relaxed and lazy and stuff like that, or any kind of southern countries, no. But no, like I always felt Austrians are maybe a bit more organized, like they have more other timetable kind of thing, but they start early in the morning and they go home quite early. Like a day can end at 4. A work they like maybe they go to work at 6 or 7. Like we used to live in Austria for a couple of years with my husband as well. Like I of course, but my husband, and he made the experience. In Spain, you don't start work before 9 ever. And but then, like depending on where you work, but you work till late. You might have a longer lunch break, but not even that. But then they work till in the evening, quite long. And in Austria, it would be they go to work at 6, but they go home at 4 at the latest. And then they have the whole evening play with their kids, or to do some sports, or to do some hobbies. And I feel the like it feels more balanced because you work for a certain amount, but you still have a lot of daytime for your life, for your like fun life, and not all is work. That's maybe the difference that these people felt about America. So work is life, and or life is work. That's this kind of thing.
Like somehow they get integrated together.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit more balanced, I feel. And in Spain, I don't have that feeling that much because work hours are late. Like people come home late in the evening, and I sometimes feel like when our day is done, like we go to bed. That's it, because there is no more time for anything. I have a bit more because school is a bit different. School isn't till that late, but like in normal, well, no normal, but in jobs where there is no like a school timetable, they work late hours. And
I thought they took a long midday break though.
yeah, I think that used to be like that. I haven't seen anybody doing this. Maybe the
Really?
shops,
Really?
some of the shops, they have this siesta, like, okay, they close at 1 and they open at 5 again. So this is the typical siesta, but there's so few shops who do that. They're like the traditional kind of the bakeries and maybe the bookstores, like tiny shops, but all the big supermarkets, this is like 24 hours now, like everywhere, which is a
Yeah.
bit sad. Like, honestly, in Spain in summer, the siesta makes sense because it's so
Yeah.
hot in that time of the day that shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
anything there.
So when do you paint then? If you're working full time, I assume, right?
Yes, I work 4 days. Like I work Monday to Thursday, 9 to 4. But with I have to drive for half an hour, so maybe it's about I'm gone from home from 8 till 5, more or less. And I usually paint either my little ones in the morning sometimes, that I really get up at 6:30, paint for half an hour, and then get going. Often at night, and which I don't like that. Like I like to do it, but the light is missing. So it's different. And Fridays are my free days, and the kids are at school and I'm at home, and that's my day. So I do most of my
Nice.
painting on Friday. Usually spend the weekend with the family, but try to there's always some painting in between, and holidays, of course. That's the good part of being a teacher, because I have quite some time during the year where I really have some days where I don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to something yesterday, and she was talking about, they talk about being in flow, or, being in that vortex of, everything's coming to you. And it really stuck with me because, I don't know, maybe it's our culture, but, we're kind of primed to think about the destination. And in essence, it's really not about being, this famous artist or whatever you want to be. It's about enjoying every single minute of every single day.
Yeah.
And I really was working my mind with that when I decided to bring the journal to work and just do some sketches in between my workday. And it also helped me to shift. Sometimes you have bad days at work, and
Yeah.
I had to really shift my mindset to, wow, look at all the great things that I'm doing here at work. Look at all the people that I'm helping, and what a great opportunity this is for me. And it's really a lot of work sometimes to shift that mindset, but it's imperative to live a happy, joyous, free life, which
Yeah.
is really what we all want, right?
Yeah.
So the destination is right now. I'm living
Yes.
it right now. It's
Yes.
great.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to make that time, even if it's 10 minutes, like to just grab those pencils or those colors or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, the
Mm-hmm.
guitar, it doesn't matter. It could be
Yeah.
for any kind of thing. Um,
Right.
yeah, something
Right.
that gives you an outlet for your feelings or for your emotion, and
Mm-hmm.
bad or good. Like I
Right.
always like to say I focus on the good. Like of course, not always everything is good, but I always
Right.
want to like shine light on the good and focus on that. And I so promise, like to anyone, if you really get conscious about that, and you really consciously always choose to look on the what is good about this, it changes. Like it gets better because you
Yeah.
focus on that.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because I tell my teenager that a lot, and then I also have to tell myself. I
Yeah.
have to mother myself once in a while to
Yes,
remember to look at the glass half full instead of half empty because our perspective changes everything.
yes,
It
Mm-hmm.
really can change absolutely everything. And,
Mm-hmm.
even, like right now as we're talking, I'm still not totally like relaxed from some stress that I was dealing with earlier today. So I kind of feel myself like a little stiff and distracted and stuff like that. But,
yeah,
you know, it's always perspective, like I get to have this time, to spend with you and it's not
yeah.
stressful.
That's
Mm-mm.
so nice that you say that because I rushed here. I came from work. I had to leave the kids somewhere where they do sports, come back, lots of, I was like, ah.
Mm,
And now I'm super enjoying this as well. So
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
moments
yeah.
that are like you have to somehow go through, but then there comes the light again. That's the truth.
And
Yeah.
when you were talking about making time for, just to focus on happiness and creating, one of the big things for me was the ability to be still. When I sit down and I immerse myself in art, whatever it is, I'm still. And
Hmm.
I had a really hard time doing that for a really long time
Hmm.
Mm,
because it was just too painful to be still.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But with art, it's liberating, it's
yeah.
freeing, and it doesn't even matter what I make. I did something in the journal the other day and I'm like, oh, it's so ugly. But you know what? I don't care. I got some things out and I created and it's fun. And
Apart from
it's,
that,
Yeah.
it's
Hugo was saying that it was ugly.
Hugo was.
Oh, good.
Hugo was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Actually,
I
this
needed,
reminds me, when I start to get antsy, my husband will be like, "You need to go to the basement right now."
That's a
Because my
good
art
point.
studio's in the basement.
That's a
my
good
husband
point
did the
too.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
weeks
yeah.
ago. He goes, "Are you
Yes,
going to go
and it's
paint?"
yes, and it's great that they realize that. I think I don't know if you've seen it, but I made a reel about it once, I think, or like a story. And it was like I was like,
Yeah,
and
I think I saw it. Tell
And
us.
he said something like that, and my husband just said, "Well, go paint." And I'm like, oh, he finally got it. Yes. Now he
Yeah.
knows what's wrong with me if I'm like that. Like, but it's true, and I feel it myself. Like sometimes if it's a week or so because it's so busy and I don't get to it, I get like angry or annoyed, or I'm like with the kids, I'm not so patient. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Ah, I didn't paint for a week, so
Yeah.
that's what you have to
Mm-hmm.
do then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it might be
Yeah,
go
it
for a
was.
walk alone in the woods, it doesn't matter really. It's just this shut down that noise and be you and forget everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was last week that my husband was trying to be subtle. He's like, "Do you think you might paint this afternoon?" And I'm like, "No, I have to finish grading or I have to finish this thing for the semester, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "I think you should maybe paint." And I'm like, "No, I don't have time for that." And so he's nice. He doesn't push too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, I shut mine out too. I shut mine down too. He's like, maybe you want to go paint?" And I go, "No, I don't want to paint."
Well, maybe you should,
Right.
and we would all be happier here.
I'm gonna hear all your little voices in my head next time something like that happens, and then I'll say, "Okay, I'll go paint a little bit."
Yeah, but so I want to know, Katrin, do you include the kids in painting, or do they have their own art practice, or how does that work?
Um, that's a good question, and I've heard you speak about it with other people, and when I heard it was like, oh, that's a good question, because I do things with my kids, like we do crafts and we paint sometimes, but it's honestly something I'm a bit jealous about. Like it's kind of my time, and they draw, they paint, they do that, but not that much that I say like, well, I'm supporting them in their art. I'm not that a good mom in saying like I have everything. If I see you, Dawn, with your granddaughter. It's like, oh my God, that's so lovely, and I'd like to do that more with my kids. But sometimes I don't have neither the patience nor the headspace to do it because they like it, and we do it, but it's not something we do that much because I get a bit nervous, honestly. Like they're there, and then it's like they themselves don't enjoy it that much. I think they right now they prefer to draw because the paints make them a bit like they can't handle them so well that they say they are happy with it. And at this stage, although I think it would be good for them to create more freely, they prefer to draw. But they like that. They do that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's funny. Just the other day, I saw, I think it was in a reel as well, a mother say, I have, my two favorite things in life is being with my kids and being without my kids. It's
Yes. Yes. I'm just gonna say I've got the best of both worlds because I'm a grandmother now.
yeah,
So when things get a little hairy or whatever, I'm like, okay, well, it's time to go home and see mommy and
yeah,
daddy now. Bye.
yeah. But that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome because you, as a grandmother, can give her that also that freedom that maybe her mom doesn't have the nerves to. Like
Right.
sometimes as a mom you get a bit, oh my God, the paints and there you go. And as a grandma, like, yeah, she'll go home in 2 hours, so I can handle that
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a it's
it's
a
true.
it's a gift. Being a grandparent is a huge gift, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
As long as it's
So.
not too early, that's all I have to say.
Well, she spent the night last night, so we were up early on my day off, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Oh, no, I meant as long as it's not too early in
Oh,
life.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Sorry.
okay. Yeah, good point.
Burying
not
a
Yeah.
not ready
teenager.
to be a grandmother.
Oh no.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no.
Got it.
Well, I think I have
Got
good
it.
time for that. Mine are only 11 and 8, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
yet a topic here.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun when they become teenagers because they really just want to be adults, but they really aren't ready for it yet. But they really don't understand that they're not ready for it. So there's like a lot
Right.
of frustration. And
It's like that
Yeah,
poem.
I read a super cool phrase the other day about that. Actually, in German, in my German class, I have this little calendar with little like sayings, and one it said something like youth is the youth is the best time of life if it was a bit later in life.
Ah,
Get it? Like
I love
yeah.
it.
it's good because
So
it's like
good.
when you're young, you don't like it because you have struggles and stuff. But when you're older, you look back and it's like, oh, it's the best time. But you're mature and you know why. And yeah. So I'm 43, and I would say like, yeah, this time 28 feels good. Yeah. So I just stay there forever.
Uh-huh. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, it's 2:04.
Fantastic.
I can't believe that hour just flew by like that. Such a
Yeah.
great conversation we've had with you today. Katrin, would you
Thank you.
like
Yes.
to leave the listeners with any place where they can find you? We will put it in the links too, but where
Thank
would
you.
you like people to find you?
Well, I'm like the most recent things I always post on Instagram and on my Facebook profile. That's like the way where you're most up to date. But I also have a website, which is katrinbader.com. And yeah, just have a look and contact me. And I'm happy to connect and to talk to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
I just,
Dawn. Thank you, Lina. It was a pleasure. And
hmm
yes, time flies if you
yeah,
enjoy.
yes.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you and have some conversation. It's been really fun watching your social media and seeing your art, and I love those reels that you're, playing funny music or wearing the glasses, and so yeah,
hmm And
really
your
Thank
nice to
you.
art,
meet you.
I try
it's
to make
just
more
so
of those.
uplifting. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
fun, uplifting, feel good, vibrant art. It's great.
That's true, and I didn't mean to diminish that, but I feel like I'm watching so many art accounts, like everybody's showing their art, and she is showing something really different in terms of showing a personality that's very entertaining. And yes, there
hmm
are people that are entertaining, but
Yeah.
I don't see as many of them like, also as artists. And like I
Okay.
said, you're totally on brand because your art is really fun and it's joyful and you have bright colors. And then there you are with your personality, bright and joyful with, nice colors and cute songs. And it's
Yes.
really fun.
I agree,
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Thank you for
It's
that. Yeah,
refreshing.
that's what I hope
Refreshing.
what people connect with as well, with this joy for life, because this is what I want to transmit as well with my art. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you.
too.